I spent 45 days non-stop at Paris's biggest Christmas market, and I won't be going back. Now, I'm not doing this video just to rant and complain. I am doing this because I'm hoping that what I'm gonna say is gonna resonate with other people, and also to warn fellow artists about those very big, ambitious Christmas markets out there. I posted very recently a carousel on my Instagram going over the main topics, but I also wanted to make a video out of it to, go more into the stories and explain more in details what happened, because in 45 days there's a lot to say. And let's just get started. So let's set the scene a little bit. We're in June and there's this other artist and friend that is looking to share her booth for the Christmas market of La Défense, because she was planning on getting a double booth to share since it's cheaper than getting one alone. And the good part about having a double booth to share is that we could also watch on each other's booth more easily and do rotations to have days off. So when I first saw the announcement, I was first of all scared because the price for the double booth was 6,800 euros, I believe, which is a lot of money, even if it's divided by 2. So then I did a bit of research about this market. Last year, I think they had 1.5 million visitors. It's the biggest one of all Paris. And it's over 45 days, so you're supposed to have a lot of time for selling, etc. It shouldn't be that hard to make up that money. For myself, it felt like this market was kind of the next logical step in my art career. I've been doing a lot of artist alley, also like smaller Christmas markets, art markets in general. And I had already figured out that this was kind of my last year of doing this full time. And once we move, I'll only keep a couple of markets and conventions and focus on trying to have a physical shop. So I really felt like I was ending this side of my career on a high note with the biggest Christmas market. And it was also going to normally finance a bit of the start of this year where I'm not going to be working much since we're moving, looking for shops, etc. So hopefully the money I've made at the Christmas market was gonna dwindle down for the start of this year. I have been to this Christmas market the previous year as a visitor, and I had really enjoyed this market. I did find that the kind of artisan village was not great. There wasn't a lot of people that were actually making the products themselves. There were still a bunch of resellers in this area. So I figured that with our booth, we could really stand out and it could be a good idea. I had also noticed that when I went there as a visitor, it was packed. Like, people everywhere. So my goal was to hit 10K at the end of the Christmas market. I thought that that was reasonable, also because I heard what other artists and other vendors were making at this market, and frankly 10K was really lowballing it, and I really wanted to aim lower so that I would not be disappointed. And my goal also career-wise was to have a boost of visibility, and it would kind of be this transition point between making all those full-time conventions every weekend, a long period where all my Paris customers can come see me, to then transition into now where currently my shop is closed since we're still in the middle of the move. If you can't tell, it's very messy everywhere. And I'm also starting to build a catalog for the physical shop, etc. So that's why at that time, in June, when I was offered to take the booth, it felt like a smart decision for my business, and it didn't really feel like a risk at the time because I was so positive that doing minimum 6K was easy. So how was my typical day during the Christmas market? Let me tell you. So it was a bit weird. The Christmas market hours were never the same. Okay, so I have the calendar of what were the hours of the Christmas market. Let me tell you. From Sunday to Wednesday, it would be 11 a.m. to 8:30 p.m. On Thursday, it would be 11 a.m. to 10 p.m. On Fridays, it was 11 a.m., 11 p.m. And on Saturdays, 10 a.m., 11 p.m. So that makes for some long hours. The market itself was open for 74 hours a week, which is just insane hours to do. And as you can tell from the hours I just gave you, there's no day off. So what I did with my booth partner is that we would replace each other twice a week, which meant that my husband was coming over and sacrificing all his days off during those 45 days. He would come and replace her on Sundays and Wednesdays, and for me, my days off were Mondays and Thursdays. But the thing is, also, so there's 74 hours a week. You add 1 hour of transportation to get there, 1 hour in the morning, 1 hour in the evening. You're gonna be home, you're gonna wanna eat, you're gonna wanna shower, you're gonna wanna have like a little bit of chill time, watch a video or something. Well, those 3 things to do were really tough because I was so tired. On Fridays, when I would come home, the market finishes at 11. I would get home, it was like around midnight. So I'm having dinner at 1 a.m. So then I go sleep. And for Saturday mornings, I had to be awake, I think at 7 a.m. And the hours were really so hard. Frankly, it was the worst at the beginning of the market because the market was empty. I wasn't used to being cold all the time since it is outdoors. And I remember I would come home and the second I would put my butt cheeks into the car seat, I would just start crying. And I remember I would just have my body that would like physically ache all the time. I was so tired, very cranky. I didn't want to see anyone. I was just like kind of on a survival mode during this whole time because really, I cannot emphasize this enough. The cold all the time is just so hard. Since you're not moving because you're at your booth, you feel the cold even more, and you're not even mentally stimulated or anything because there's no crowd at your alley, and so the hours just felt like it was never ending. And the sales were just so disappointing as well. I'm gonna look down because I have my numbers right under here. Keep in mind, it opened on the 13th of November, which makes absolutely no sense. Nobody's going to do their Christmas shopping. People were even complaining because they were there like, oh, but it was Halloween like 2 weeks ago. Can we have more like chill time before thinking about Christmas? I was like, yeah, I kind of agree. But anyways, on week 1, I did 550 euros, which was okay. I was not expecting to do a lot, and so my mindset was that it would go up as the weeks went by until we hit the epiphany, which was Christmas week. However, on week 2, I did 500 euros. So I went down. Week 3 was 550 again, and then it started going up. The first week of December, I did 1,200 euros, then 1,300 euros. The Christmas week was 1,600, and then it went back down to 300. So those are just for the plain numbers, and I thought I would talk a bit more about how it felt and my reasoning for those numbers. Those numbers alone can seem like a lot. And you would think that, oh, well, it was a successful market, wasn't it? However, when you count the fact that it's 74 hours of Christmas market, and also I had spent 2 months working on my stock full time, and that the booth fees were like 3,200 euros, at the end of the day, my weight was very bad. My very best sales day was on Saturday the 6th of December, where I did 600 euros, but that was like my best by far. My second best is half that number. Because when that Saturday happened, where I made 600 euros, I was thinking, finally, this is the moment that from now on, sales will go up and it will be nice and profitable and people are going to be buying a bunch of stuff. However, yeah, the sales went back down during that week and it never went as high ever again. And I just can't even comprehend how I made 600 in that one day because there's no reason for the 6th of December to be particularly good. It's not even the holidays. On average, I had 8 sales a day. 8. During those huge hours. So it was very slow. Luckily, we never had a day where we sold 0, and that was something we were dreading throughout the whole market because apparently that happens, and it's so depressing to think you're paying a booth so expensive to possibly make 0 in a day. We always had this mindset of, oh well, maybe tomorrow is going to be a better sales day. All the time, tomorrow's going to be better, tomorrow's going to be better, tomorrow's going to be better. And the fact is that it kind of never really happened. And we stopped trying to understand how the sales worked at this market with my husband because there was no logic to it. One week to another, it wasn't going to be the same weekdays where I'm going to flop. And it was emotionally so demanding to always be hoping for better and kind of always being unsatisfied with what was happening, because being unsatisfied over a month and a half is long. And what was also a bit of a shame is that as the time was passing through the market, at the start of the Christmas market, I was really interacting a lot with customers, being high in energy, like communicating, doing all those things. And the thing is, by the time it was the end of the market, where there's a lot of people, where I could have made a lot of engagement to boost my sales, etc., I was just so drained. I was just spending my times on my computer because I was just in a mindset of let the day pass through and look forward to when this market ends. So the faster time would be spent, the better it was. Let's talk about what I think were the main issues of this market. I've set the scene, I've told you how my days went by. Now, why was it a flop? I would say factor number one is our placement. It was so bad. We were in the artisan village, which was kind of like a triangle. The thing is, the rest of the market is like a big rectangle with just alleys going up and down, up and down. And my booth was on the only horizontal line of the market. So since we were the only alley that wasn't those long vertical lines, there was nobody turning into our alley. And all the other vendors that were in our alley suffered from this as well. They all did terrible numbers, despite that a lot of them were regulars of this market and they've been doing it for like 10 plus years. And everyone agreed that this had been their worst year, without even thinking about the fact that economically this year has been tough and the crowd has less money. This wasn't even a question of the crowd not buying, this was just a question of the crowd not being in our alley. Another very big problem that I'm kind of very mad about with the organization of this market is that the organizers would simply never answer any of our emails, of our phone calls, of our messages over 45 days. And we just had so many problems. There was a problem where all of the other vendors in our alley would close sometimes 2 hours early. So already that we had basically no foot traffic, the fact that the entire alley was closed except us meant that we were like selling even less. And on the contract, there was literally written out, if your booth was closed for only 1 hour, it was €100 fee, and it's 100 each time there's another hour that passes. These vendors never got contacted by the organizers about the fact that they were closing super early, and that was detrimental to other vendors that were following the contract. We also had some very serious problems with the security of this market, and I had sent an email of what happened because, like, what the hell? A customer lost a wallet. My booth neighbor took the wallet and brought it to security. And the customers came back, asked if we had the wallet, and so I was like, oh, well, it's at the security, it's right over there. So I go with them. Mind you, I am a vendor. I am paying for that security service. And when I open the door of the security office, I'm seeing two guys that are sitting and watching a football match instead of looking at the cameras. One of them stands up when they see me open the door, literally fall on his face, and when he gets up, he's basically screaming at us, asking us what are we doing here, blah blah blah. I explained the situation, and these are the customers that lost their wallet, could they get it back? You know, just a typical lost and found situation. And the guy got so mad. I ended up calling my booth neighbor to tell them, well, you can talk to her if you want, but she did drop it off here. He was demanding that she comes see them physically, despite her being already on the phone and she was at home. He then implied that we stole the wallet. The second that this happened, I have sent an email to the Christmas market with literally it written urgent security issues, because this is impacting their reputation for the customers, their reputations for the vendors. And why are the two security guys talking so bad at us and also not even paying attention to what was happening at the market? They were watching football, and I suspect, I'm not sure, being drunk. The fact that the organizers never answered my email, even to this day, is concerning. Another big issue this market has was that the artisan village wasn't very clear. When you would enter, there were no, like, oh, go over there and there's the artisan village. You would just enter, be in a mix of pro booths that are resellers, and you wouldn't know that if you walk for like 5 minutes, there was the handmade area. There was also a lot of confusion when people were in the artisan village because of the amount of resellers that were in our area. Now, I get that vendors maybe kind of lied during the applications because the artisan booths were cheaper. What I don't get is how the organizers did not see through their bullshit, or rather did not care to see. And so that made that a lot of the crowd that was in the artisan village did not understand that what we were making were handmade, and therefore they didn't understand our pricing either. So at the end of the day, was it worth it? For me personally, no. Because yes, when you look at the numbers I did, around 6,000 euros, it is a lot of money. However, when you know that half of it goes to the table fees, on the 6,000 you also remove 15%, something like that, for taxes, and then there's the material costs as well. So at the end of the day, when you look at everything, it's just not that interesting at all, especially if you have to be there physically during that entire month and a half. The hourly wage is just so bad. It's kind of complicated because when you're self-employed, sometimes as an artist, you're just not really counting your hours. But we really should, because this was such a demanding market, and like I felt it mentally and physically so hard. I feel like I've been saying that throughout the entire video, but really, it was exhausting. And when I was at the market waiting those long hours where there was just no sales coming in, I was just there like, wow, I could have just gotten myself a minimum wage job and do that for a month and a half and it would have been more profitable. However, that would have sucked, so I'm still happy that, I get to make money off of my art and everything. It's a lot more exciting and gratifying to do that, but I also need to keep in fact that, it's still a business and I still need to think, business moves and stuff. And this market really was not a great move, but I still want to balance everything out and talk about the good parts because it wasn't all bad. I know I've been complaining. It was so nice meeting so many of, my followers in real life and interacting with them, and they were buying a bunch of my stuff. I had so many customers coming up and showing me, like, for example, a lot of people had my stickers inside of their phone case. I was like, oh my god, I saw you at this convention, blah blah blah. And they would show me how they've been following me for so long and stuff. And it's just so nice when that happens. There were also a couple of people that came by that I had tattooed in the past and showing me their healed tattoo and everything. It's just so nice. So I do have a lot of gratitude for those interactions and those moments that were very, very nice. And it did feel like ending the year on a high, since socially it was kind of like I've never had so many people, friends, followers come see me at an event, tell me they specifically came for my stuff. It just really felt like ending on a high and nicely concluding this era for me. I also had a huge boost of online sales when the market was happening. Now, it was a little bit of a struggle for doing the whole packaging, my online sales, and also being at the market at the same time, but we made it work. My best sellers of this market were the Selkon stickers, obviously, despite the fact that I added them like mid-December to the online shop and at the market, but they just like exploded everything. The other one was my calcifer spatula. They were also brand new, so it made me so happy to see that you liked them. And my third bestseller was actually kind of surprising because it was a seasonal item. I had made this illustration of like a bunch of cats piled up in the shape of a Christmas tree, and it was on a trivet, and those sold really well. I don't have any left, which is great. So thank you for giving love to those items. So yeah, that kind of like sums up everything. I'm still very happy that I've done this market, It's just that financially and physically it was not great. But looking back now, I just feel so much gratitude, and I'm very happy that this is the way that I'm stopping my full convention artist alley era. Because I still do think it's, ending on a high. When I talk to people about the fact that, well, I did the La Défense Christmas Market, it does like have this wow effect, I guess. This market also allowed me to kind of feel what the general crowd that isn't really convention crowd enjoys in terms of products, which is also going to help me for when I'm going to have my physical shop. And so this way, now I'm currently working on, well, fine tuning which items I'm wanting for the shop. I've started doing shop visits. Don't worry, I'll be making a video about finding a shop and everything as well, but it'll take time. And I'm really excited for what's gonna be coming next. But yeah, I guess the lesson of this video could be that if you're aiming for such a big market, maybe try reaching out to people that have done it the previous years. Try finding people that did it only a couple years and stopped as well to ask for their review. And also, please don't underestimate how hard this can be on your body and on your mind. Like, you're easily gonna need to have a month to recover from this, which is why I've taken so long to film this video. Thank you everyone for watching this video and listening to me yap about the Christmas market. If you've ever attended like a big Christmas market in your city, please tell me how it went in the comments. I love reading all of you. You can also share this video if you know any artists that would be interested in knowing how this huge market goes. But yeah, that's just my personal experience. It might not be the case for you and everyone. I do know people that still did very good numbers at this market. It was just not the case for my booth. Make sure to subscribe if you want to see more art content. I do a lot of those. And also check out my Instagram because that's where I'm the most active and share most regularly updates. And yeah, that's all that I had to say. You can like this video if you liked it, if you like. And yeah, bye bye!